Help us level the playing field. Sign the parliamentary petition today to fuel the growth and fund the game.
Good afternoon and welcome to Avenger Park for NPLW Round 2 action.
I'm just curious. This is my first year with media pass with photography. Anything I need to know, or can I just go on? Well, you guys, I'm just curious. Thank you, I appreciate it. Sorry, real good.
NPLW football comes to Avenger Park for the very first time on this glorious Saturday afternoon as Avondale get ready for their round 2 NPLW Victoria clash. And they don't come much bigger than this as they welcome the all-conquering Bulleen Lions sides, one of the perennial forces in the Senol NPLW Victoria over the last number of seasons. Both of these teams, though, started off their campaigns in less than ideal fashion, both on the ends of, it's probably not unreasonable to say, shock defeats to open 2026. One of them, though, will be, or at least one of them, rather, will be getting points on the board this afternoon. My name is Oscar Rutherford with you for the call. Avondale have made 2 changes to the starting lineup from the team which lost 1-0 against Alamein last time out. Alyssa Smith and Liviana Andriopoulos have both dropped to the bench for this afternoon's games, and that's paved the way for a first start for American recruit Sloan Young, as well as one of the biggest names coming into the NPLW Victoria this season. Hannah Wilkinson will be leading the line for Avondale this afternoon, and Boline, who suffered their opening round defeat by the same 1-0 scoreline against Melbourne Victory, of course the team newly introduced into the Senol NPLW Victoria. Boline have made 3 changes to that starting 11, with Kat Renahan, Sarah Kane and Maya Markovsky all being reintroduced to the starting 11. As a result, Alana Cordolino has dropped to the bench for this afternoon's games, whilst Emily Bennell and Annie Yates are both out of the squad. We'll give you a more comprehensive run through of both starting lineups in just a moment, as we see both sets of players getting ready to start. Our central referee for this afternoon is Angelique Manjon, in what promises to be one of the matches of the round in just the second weekend of NPLW Victoria action. NPLW football has kicked off at Avenger Park for the very first time, and it's Bulleen Lions with the first bit of possession. Tiff Eliadis carrying the ball forward. The Lions, one of the established powerhouses in this competition, taking on one of the new kids on the block in Avondale. Early cross towards the penalty area as well. And the first look at goal comes the way of the Lions. Rosie Roger not able to get her head onto the ball in time. But a promising start for Boline, who, as mentioned, suffered that surprise 1-0 defeat against Melbourne Victory to open their campaign. Johnny Grace Garon sending it in towards Eliadis, and Rosie Roger again on the ball. Now Maya Markovsky, who has of course made her return to the club with which she won the gold medal a couple of seasons ago. This is Tiff Eliadis. And well, it's the first NPLW fixture at Avenger Park, but it's Boline who are staking their claim to control the play early. Opportunity here on that far side as we see Beatty Go deemed to have committed an infringement. And so the first meaningful involvement of our referee results in Boline having themselves a free kick. We've already seen a number of Boline players on the ball. For the visitors today, in goal is Alyssa Daloste. And running through the rest of the lineup, number 3 is Kat Renahan, number 4, Claudia Miocic, number 6, Leah Muldeary, 8 is Sarah Kane, 11 is Johnny Grace Garon, number 12 is Olivia Bomford, who is one of the players standing over this set piece, 14 Tiff Eliadis, 17 Maya Markovsky, 19 Ashley Jordan, and number 21 is Rosie Roger. Will be Bomford to deliver this free kick. Markovsky the target. Headed away initially, only as far as Kat Renahan, who unloads from a long way. And the first involvement of the afternoon for Brooke Bennett in between the sticks for Avondale. Wearing the cap, as you can see. The sun is out on what is a glorious Melbourne afternoon late in February. And Liv Bomford, a player with plenty of NPLW pedigree, but playing just her second game in a Boline shirt, gets ready to deliver an in-swinging corner. Bennett comes to punch, got just enough on it to send it away from the pack of Boline players who had formed at the back post. Here's one of them, Rosie Roger. Turns one way, then the other, looking to tee up Sarah Kane. Here is Kane with the left boot this time. Bennett again with an acrobatic save. So the Avondale goalkeeper with plenty to do in the opening minutes. Looking ahead of her to the outfield players for the Avengers. Number 3 is Georgia Traynor. Number 4, Camberero. Number 5, Bella Accardo. 8 is Elise Kellen Knight. Number 9, Sloan Young. 10, Sydney Allen. 14, Aska Miata. 16, Beattie Goad. 17 is the captain, Golkin Janet Saris. And 23 is Hannah Wilkinson. Speaking of which, through on goal, Hannah Wilkinson. Oh, it's a first look, but it goes begging. And having been under the cosh for the first 3 minutes, Avondale find themselves with a golden opportunity spurned by their big-name recruit Wilkinson. Of course, coming to Australia via Melbourne City, where she certainly left her mark in the A-League women's competition. You see the towering presence of Wilkinson. She will no doubt be causing plenty of headaches for defences in this competition over the next few months. But that finish, maybe a little bit of early season rust. Here's Bomford again winning back the ball. That one taking a touch from Beattie Goad on its way out. Janet Saris using all of her experience to shield the ball for a goalkeeper to come and hoof it clear. Now Sydney Allen looking to once again play in behind Wilkinson. Quick off the line was Alyssa Daloste. Well, it's a high-intensity start to this one. Boline looking to leave a mark, but Avondale fighting right back into it. Georgia Traynor there, sending the ball back to her goalkeeper. And now Bella Accardo, who of course has joined Avondale from Bulleen, one of a number of players in the matchday squad today for the Avengers with quite recent Bulleen connections. That's a sloppy giveaway for Roger. Rosie Roger charging forward, unable to pick out a teammate in Ashley Jordan. Now Bomford turning away from Miata. And the combination of Aska Miata and Beattie Goad eventually find a way to avert the danger for Avondale. Game perhaps calming slightly as Boline trying to pick their way through. That pass from Sarah Kane is overshot. Johnny Grace Garon, one of the American recruits to the competition this season. Wilkinson and Eliadis contest. Sent away by Muldeary. That's clever from Wilkinson to play in Beattie Goad. Beattie Goad charging down the left-hand side. Goes with the left boot as well. That one had a little bit too much height on it. Avondale, though, looking very potent, as not for the first time they find themselves in behind the Boline defence. Alyssa Daloste, though, grateful that she is still yet to be required to make a save. We expect goals in this game just by virtue of the calibre of attacking players on the pitch, and these are two teams who are just about certainties to score when they have taken to the park over the last couple of years. The real shock was that last week neither of them did, both suffering 1-0 defeats. Here's a nice turn by Jordan. Bomford on the right, receiving from Kane. Go tracking back. Roger has a swing at it. That will be comfortably supervised towards the goal line by Georgia Traynor. And indeed, the result is an Avondale goal kick. Boline failing to score last week. That ending a streak of 22 consecutive competitive fixtures in which they've scored at least one goal. Each time they took to the pitch, you would more or less pencil in at least one for the Lions. And similarly, Avondale, of course, a different calibre of opposition, having come through the VPLW last season, but they did score in all 25 competitive fixtures they played across League and Cup, including that game against South Melbourne in the 5th round of the Nike Cup, where they were ultimately knocked out. So you'd imagine that both teams won't be particularly interested in going 2 weeks without troubling the scorers. It's an important intervention there from Barrero, but ultimately isn't able to stop the run of Renahan. Sends it forward to Markovski. Turning one way, then the other. Looks centrally. Ball deflects almost into the path of Miata. Instead, Eliadis looks towards Kane. And now this is Sydney Allen for Avondale. Charging forward with Wilkinson an option presenting. Liam Aldeary reading it effectively. The Boline defence has looked a little bit open in this opening 10 minutes. We've seen Avondale able to split the middle a few times. Liam Aldeary back at Bulleen for this campaign. Just 23 years of age, but has experience well beyond her years in this Bulleen lineup. She's partnered at the back by Claudia Miocic, another player who has returned to Bulleen fairly recently, midway through the previous campaign. Is Kellen Knight picking out Miata, and now Wilkinson looks to Allen. There's space on this right-hand side for Young. Important intervention from Kane, and now Eliadis will look to springboard the Boline attack. Ashley Jordan ultimately deciding that the more conservative approach was appropriate in that instance. And ultimately the Boline attack peters out. Avondale playing their first NPLW fixture here at home, having undergone a rapid ascent through the Victorian football pyramid over the last number of years. Heavy investment from one of the most well-resourced clubs in Victorian football in Avondale, building a women's program to match the success of their men's. And this, in some ways, the culmination of all that work, but I'm sure plenty at the club will believe this is just the beginning. Having already lost their opening game, and in their second game having to take on Boline. It's not the easiest of introductions to life in the NPL competition. Ball just about falls to the feet of Young. Wasn't able to manufacture the space for a shot. Wilkinson teeing up Miata. And for the third time, a shot flashes off target from Avondale. Wilkinson and Young combining again. Saw the run coming from Beattie Goad late, but too close to Alyssa Daloste. Really is two teams today brimming with quality, brimming with experience, both A-League and NPL. Here's Rosie Roger, one of the players who's toiled away in the NPL at Bulleen over the last number of years and gradually worked her way into the team. Now there's a chance for Garon. Gets past Traynor, JG Garon, and her ball in was met by Janet Saris. Might be able to hear some of the calls of JG, the nickname of Johnny Grace Garon. Player who comes to the NPL along a well-trodden path from US college soccer, most notably in her home state of South Carolina. Garon able to contest here, but it's her compatriot Sloan Young who comes away with the ball and plays it into the path of Beatty Goad. Goad looks central for Wilkinson, and now Wilkinson picks out Allen. Sydney Allen opens up some space for the shot, but Alyssa Dalosto was comfortable that one was always going wide. Some chat of encouragement from the Avondale head coach, Del Donnelly. Man who's overseen the most recent part of the ascent of this Avondale team. Former technical director at Casey Comets as well. Eliadis picks out Roger. Well met by Traynor. And now Garon. Looks centrally, but Miata. Well, neither team able to feel comfortable in possession for more than a couple of moments. Maya Markovsky and Miata wrestle. And Jordan looks to send it towards Bomford, but Goad gets there instead. Well, a real excitement in the opening of this game. The intensity brought by both teams, making for an eminently watchable contest. Some of the mistakes and misplaced passes, just a result of the intense pressure being applied by both teams. Here's Beatty Goad, player who's more than adept at dealing with the pressure of high-level football. Of course, was a breakout player for Melbourne Victory a few years ago. Janet Saris' pass is cut out by Jordan. Now charging forward, the number 19 for Boline, but the veteran defender for Avondale winning out in the end. Making amends, the former Turkish international, Gulkan Janet Saris. Miocic and Jordan not quite on the same page, but the trainer was also a little bit late to react to the danger. Got there back in time though, the defender, and sends it upfield. Well, Beatty Goad's been just about everywhere in the opening 16 minutes of this one. She continues to ply her trade in the middle of the park. On the ball, Barrero. Slipping at the vital moment, though. Both of these teams have recruited extensively over the last off-season. Players very well known in Senol NPLW Victoria circles. Janet Saris once again having to put on the afterburners to get there ahead of Roger, and is able to see the ball over the line. You see the likes of Sydney Allen, Liv Bomford, Askimiata, Camberero all on the park. These are players who have developed fine reputations for their work over the last few seasons, including in NPLW Victoria. Jordan there looking to play through Markovsky, but got a little bit too much height on it. Here's Eliadis for Boline. Ricochets into the path of Wilkinson. Back to Barrero. And the return to her striker resulted in the ball going out of play. Yoch sending the ball up towards Maya Markovsky. Markovsky, who spent last season at Spring Hills. Another one of the competitors out there who's played at A-League level with both Melbourne Victory and Canberra United. Now Askimiata, one of the key cogs in the dominant Heidelberg United team that we've seen in recent years. Such a big loss for the Burgers. Askimiata at the base of that midfield, and you can understand why she was so coveted and why Avondale splashed out to get her involved. Here is Miata shielding the ball from Eliadis and cleverly using her body to prompt Angelique Manjon's whistle. In the 2025 team of the season, Askimiata is recognition for her vital role in shielding the back four for the Burgers. Here's another one of those contributors in the Heidelberg backline. Camberero didn't get as far this time though, and now Eliadis launches the counter. Left for Janet Saris, and now Traynor. Hoofing it upfield, and just a bit of kick to kick between the two defences. Here's Beatty Goad. Space ahead of Wilkinson. That's where the ball heads. Challenged by Miocic, who did okay with the first challenge. Very well with the second. And now Bomford looking to skip clear of Kellen Knight. Kellen Knight, very much a recruit that signalled Avondale's intent as they were in the lower rungs of the Victorian football pyramid. Key contributor as they found their way to promotion last season from the VPLW. Now playing at a level which I don't think it's unfair to say is much more appropriate for her standard of play. Play with 115 Matilda's caps. And here to take the throw in. return it to Beatty Goad, resuming her battle with Renahan. Kellen Knight sending it inboard. Young was the only real target, but it had a little bit too much height on it. Garon charging into the Avondale half. Well, I'm not really sure what the idea was with that final ball. Not at all perhaps on the same wavelength as her attacking teammates. And we've just seen a little bit more of that creep in for both teams in the last 5 or 10 minutes. So many new players in both squads. Unsurprisingly taking a little bit of time maybe for some of the connections to form, the chemistry to be established. Garon winning out against Young that time, and now Roger. Boline happy to retreat all the way back to their goalkeeper, Alyssa Daloste. Plenty of support for Bulleen from this side of the park. Players both behind the fence and in the coaching area. Without Caitlin Friend, of course, who's serving a touchline ban for the opening couple weeks of the season. Here's Maya Markovsky. Chance for Jordan. Makes some space inside, and Rogers' attempt doesn't pan out. Now Garon sent in board, but headed clear for Beatty Goad. Of course, even without their influential coach in the technical area, Bulleen, well, they're a well-oiled machine. You can imagine they're more than capable of continuing to churn out the results, even in Caitlin Friend's absence. Here is Bomford. We're 25 minutes into the first NPLW fixture at Avenger Park. And it's been an action-packed opening 25. And with that, Angelique Grandjohn will signal for the drinks break, so we will have a little bit of reprieve for both sets of players. Probably coming at a reasonable time with the game threatening just to enter a bit of a lull. So really, after Boline came out and made the early running, it's Avondale who you'd have to say have had the better chances, particularly that Hannah Wilkinson look in the first few minutes.
Is it a good view from up there?
Coaching staffs of both Boline and Avondale taking the opportunity to dish out some fresh instructions. Here's a benefit of the drinks breaks for coaching staff and the like. Boline just a little bit slow coming out and getting the hurry on from our referee. Just the opportunity to give real-time feedback, having seen the first 25 minutes play out. And the play will be restarted with an Avengers throw on this near side. Georgia Traynor, the former Heidelberg United junior, to send the throw in. Quickly back out for JG Garon. This is Wilkinson. Looking to skip through a couple of Bulleen defenders. Didn't quite have the agility, though, to get past. Barrero winning it ahead of Jordan. Now Kellen Knight. Thought about the direct approach. Instead, goes wide for Goad. Here is Barrero. Not too far away as well. Well, had someone been attacking that back post, it would have been a nigh on certain goal. Avondale getting another crack at it. That cross booted clear. Roger winning out against Miata and Mayamarkovsky. Helping best the Avondale midfielder, who's doing her best remonstrations with Angelique Manjon, feeling that she was fouled in that last passage of play. Sydney Allen, a player well known to be more than happy to give plenty of feedback to officials, pointing out that someone should have seen that last foul on Ascamiata, according to her, but no harm, no foul for the Avengers as they've got themselves possession back with their captain. Kellen Knight and Wilkinson, players who are on opposite sides of the Melbourne divide in the A-League Women's a couple of years back. Here's Beatty Goad. Onto a left Goad. Got the shot. But the combination of Maldiri and Mijicic do just enough to repel the wingers' moves. Ball towards goal, and Alyssa Daloste sees it fly over her crossbar, as is tended to be the trend in this opening half. Avondale getting in better positions, but the finishing leaving a little bit to be desired. Still, both of these teams awaiting their first goal of 2026. Little toe poke in from Beatty Goad. Foul called on Maldiri, though. Of course, Beatty Goad, another one of the former Boline players in the Avondale ranks this afternoon. Maldiri almost putting her team under some unnecessary pressure. That may still come as Hannah Wilkinson picks up the ball. Attempted return from Kellen Knight was delayed by Eliadis, but Miata now. Her shot is well blocked, and Maldiri this time with the more conventional clearing approach. Game remaining very finely poised. Not much time for any player on the ball. Here's Sloan Young. Ball just getting away from her. Now Markovsky. Plays it back to Garon. Before Mijicic and Maldiri combine once more. Of course, a season of a number of firsts for Avondale. Their first in the top flight of women's football. First NPLW fixture, first NPLW game here at Avenger Park. Of course, the first competitive meeting against a number of the teams that they'll come up against this campaign. Here's Beatty Goad with Kellen Knight spinning into a little bit more space where Barrero is in support. Goad again, charging forward, and Hannah Wilkinson was hoping that the pass was coming to feet. Beatty Goad not on the same wavelength. Garon. In a little bit of space on the left with Markovsky in support. Has Jordan in the middle. That's where the ball heads. Well, she wasn't able to direct it on target. In any case, the offside flag was raised. A really good look, though, for Boline, and one of their better ones in this first half. We'll be hoping to generate some high quality looks at goal, but it's Beatty Goad who's in behind the defence again. Goad still has space on the left. Wonderfully timed challenge from Leah Muldeary. Bided her time and executed the sliding intervention at just the right moment to send it behind for a corner. To wonder how Avondale are so many times finding themselves behind Bulleen's defence with so much space as well. Both teams trying their best to compress the ground, pushing high up the pitch, but for now it's Allen to deliver this corner. Wilkinson the nearest to it. At the post was Goad, sent home by Young. Avondale have their first goal in NPLW football, and it's Sloan Young who scores it. The American recruit found herself in the right place at the right time, and from that distance, she was never going to miss. And it's the Avengers who have themselves a 1-0 lead. Well, Boline had themselves a couple of chances to clear it, you felt. Of course, initially landing on the head of Wilkinson. Beatty Goad was almost able to scramble it over the line. But in the end, the third bite of the cherry, Sloan Young with a straightforward finish. It's been a tough first 35 minutes for, well, really all the players on the park, but Sloan Young, you felt, has been battling against Garon, who steps up here to close down Miata. Janet Saris has been heavily involved. A bit of a loose touch, which allowed Tiff Eliadis to sneak in. And the decision is that it was the Bulleen player whose touch was the last one. Eliadis and Janet Saris, two of the long-term operators in Victorian football. Here is the goal scorer, Young. Looks to switch the play using her fullback, Camberero. And now Young once more. Closed down by a trio of Bulleen players. And now Markovsky uses Eliadis. Eliadis sliding it through for Jordan, who's offside again. And Ashley Jordan looking more and more threatening. The player back in Bulleen colours following her spell at US College, playing for the likes of San Francisco and South Carolina, of course, the same as JG Garon. But prior to that, a prolific scorer for Boline in the junior ranks, multiple Golden Boot winner. Really exciting to see her back in Victorian football. Her team could use an excellent outing from one of their attacking players, currently behind as they are. Throw in over the head of Miata. Jordan looks to tee up Eliadis. That was vital that Kellen Knight got there to toe poke it away. So as we often see, the team that goes behind taking it as a bit of a kick up the backside to step up their game, and Boline have controlled much of the ball since falling behind. Saw the idea there of Roger hoping to shepherd the ball into some space, but the pass had too much width. This match, of course, taking place Saturday afternoon in the second round of the campaign. Had a couple of Friday night matches last night. A couple of headline results. South Melbourne Preston, or Preston South Melbourne I should say, that one ending in a 1-1 draw. Two teams who may well find themselves towards the upper end of the table at the end of the campaign. And of course, the reigning champions Box Hill making a statement for sure. An 8-0 win against Bentley Greens, which after a lackluster opening round signalled really to the whole competition that Box Hill aren't intent on withering away in their title defence. Has made for a really exciting start to this NPLW season. So many legitimate contenders, you feel. Of course, the maths will change if and when the A-League contingent returns towards, or in the second half of the campaign. Boline, though, looking to grab themselves an equaliser as we head into the final 5 minutes of the first 45. Bomford sends it in. Markovsky the closest to it, but Bennett got a couple of gloves to it. Bomford will try again, this time to the back post where Eliadis was the target. But that one tough to control for the veteran. Eliadis, now 30 years of age, returned to Bulleen midway through last season following a brief stint at South Melbourne. Heading over to Lakeside alongside Alana Byrne. Things panning out a little bit more favourably for Byrne than for Eliadis. Stepping up out of the defence is Bella Accardo. Ferrero. Well, we've seen them use this route of attack multiple times in this first half. That time, combination of Maldiri and Renahan were well placed to snuff out the Beatty-Go danger. Gorkan Janitsara sending it back towards her goalkeeper. Well, all things considered, we'll see Hannah Wilkinson now potentially through on goal again. Wasn't too bad of a first touch, but just far enough away to allow Miocic to step in. Goad. Too far ahead of Kellen Knight. You'd imagine that Del Donnelly would be fairly content with his team's first half showing. The strong start that Bulleen made, really putting them under some early pressure. They came out of that okay and probably deserved their lead just by virtue of the quality of chance that they've created compared to their opposition. But it's been a high-intensity, high-quality half. Such little space for either team, both compressing the pitch, pressing right up, making life very uncomfortable. We see again, but Traynor looking to skip around Eliadis. Pass for Renahan. You saw Goad's idea, but cleverly managed by the Boline defender, even if the subsequent pass left a little bit to be desired. Miata looking towards Young, but Garon got there first. Knotted up towards goal, and with the 45 minutes elapsing, we're now in to first half stoppage time, of which there will be 3 minutes to be played. So more than enough opportunity for either of these teams to change the scoreline heading into the break. The onus very much on the visitors. Here is Markovsky, who hasn't had the best of first halves, hasn't been able to get as involved as she would often do. Bomford and Eliadis combine. Here is Markovsky again. Met by Traynor, who I have to say has had a really excellent first 45 showing. One of the lesser heralded features of this Bulleen Lions team. Just 19 years of age, Georgia Traynor. But she is more than showing that she deserves to be playing at this level with this first half showing. And of course, as I give her the build up, she sends it out for touch. Maybe out into touch would be a more accurate description. Here's Tiff Eliadis. She too hasn't quite been able to make the passes stick that we often expect from her. Do you feel there is a reasonable amount of rust in both of these teams when it comes to the final third actions? It's a fairly scrappy goal which currently separates the teams. Sloan Young in and amongst the subsequent phases following the corner. But as things stand, Avondale won't care too much. Boline have a minute or so left to try and pull themselves back level before we head into the sheds. Camberero there, taking no chances. Now Allen and Kane wrestle. Here is Young. The yell from Janet Saris is to head towards the corner. Sloan Young, though, saw a bit of space and couldn't help but have a ping. That one right down the throat of Alyssa Daloste. So that perhaps the final attacking move that Avondale will be able to put together. Maybe time for one last charge forward for the Lions. And Miocic heads towards Garon, met by Traynor. JG Garon will get another go at it. Uses Markovsky. Charging towards Janet Saris. Space was well closed down. And Zaccardo sends it away. Allen and Bomford in midfield. Still we play on. Garon again sending it towards the penalty area. And with that, Angelique Manjon blows a whistle for half-time at Avenger Park. The first 45 minutes of NPLW football has been played now at this venue, and it's Avondale who do go into the break with a 1-0 lead. Sloan Young's goal from a corner separating the two teams. It's been high intensity, so much quality on the park, but the game remains finely poised as we look towards the second 45. Be sure to tune back in for that in around about 15 minutes time, but at the break at Avenger Park, scoreline reads Avondale 1, Boline 0. Underway for the second half here at Avenger Park. Avondale, as things stand, leading Bulleen 1-0 thanks to a goal from Sloan Young. Highly engaging first 45 minutes of action as the Avengers playing their first ever NPLW fixture at home, the first ever NPLW game here at Avenger Park. Look to make it a winning start as well. If they were to do so, it would condemn Boline to a second straight defeat to begin their 2026 Senol NPL Women's Victoria campaign. And indeed, we've gone a game and a half, and Boline still yet to score a goal in the competition this season, either having gone 22 competitive fixtures, scoring up until the beginning of the current campaign. In any case, there's still plenty of time for all sorts of things to change over the next 45 minutes. The high intensity brought in the first half will hopefully continue in the second. Early look in at goal for Ashley Jordan, but beaten to it by Isabella Accardo. Crossing over from Bulleen to be, you'd imagine, mentored by one of the most experienced and sought after mentors for young defenders in Victoria, and Golkan Janet Saris. Long-term player for Melbourne Victory before heading to the NPL via Calder. Played for Turkey as well and at international level. And now with the armband marshalling her troops at Avenger Park this afternoon. Presence that you can really feel watching the game in person. Janet Saris constantly pointing and yelling out instructions to her teammates. Well, it's worked out pretty well up to this point as their clean sheet remains intact. Renahan sends it in, cleared away at the first instance by Sloan Young. In fact, it was Bella Ricardo, apologies. Sloan Young racing back out to a conventional right wing position. This is Rosie Roger. And that central ball cleared away by Sydney Allen. So a positive start to the second, much like we saw in the first from Boline, pinning back their hosts. In the first 45, Avondale weathered the early storm and created a number of really good opportunities for themselves soon after. We'll see if that pattern repeats. Time Accardo getting caught by the pressure from Jordan. Continues her run in behind here after Renahan played the ball. Flag stays down. Jordan along the deck. Really important contribution from Traynor. Looking to take it clear of Roger. And now Sarah Kane. Markovski skips into space. Maya Markovski. Well, quick off her line was Bennett, closing down the space. And the former VPLW goalkeeper of the year makes her first contribution of this second half. But a really promising opening few minutes for Boline. So they look to work their way back into this one. Here's Bomford. There's space for Roger on that left-hand side, and a paddock of it as well. Traynor now looking to close down. Roger goes herself, unable to generate the power to beat Bennett. Bennett hurling it out towards Kellen Knight, whose former Victory teammate in Beatty Goad picks up the running. Tries the 1-2 with Wilkinson, but Renahan there to relaunch the Bulleen attack. Attempted defence splitting pass from Mijicic. In the end, the ball has found its way to Roger. Now Maya Markovsky, saw thinking about the shot from a long way out, instead continues her run. Bomford's got some space ahead. Markovsky goes herself, and that one skidding wide of the target. But it's been a really promising first 5 minutes for Boline. They've been doing all of the attacking to begin this second 45 as they hunt down that first goal of their 2026 campaign. Have been a team who have made some slow starts in recent seasons, Bulleen. We see that pass setting up Beatty Goad. Goad stood up by Muldeary. Eventually Goad wriggles her way past. The defensive pressure, though, was enough to see the cross miss any of its targets. Boline have tended to drop more points at the beginning of the season than at any other point over the last few years. Of course, benefit greatly from an influx of A-League players usually towards the back half of the campaign. So even if they were to go down to a second consecutive defeat to begin the season, that would be far from determinative of their trajectory this campaign. Seeing Boline pick up their form and then charge into a long unbeaten run or a winning run, complemented by returning A-League players. But in any case, if Boline are vulnerable, it's incumbent or really the necessity for every other team to take advantage of it if they can. And right now, Avondale have themselves in a commanding position with the 1-0 lead. But Boline are hammering on the door. Here's Eliadis. Goes one way, then the other, and skips past Miata. That ball towards Jordan, and the offside flag. Well, we were all expecting it to go up, and indeed it did. Ashley Jordan may be the only player who was surprised by it. Of course, one of the 3 matches taking place in Senol NPL Women's Victoria this afternoon. A triple header with Keilor Park hosting Alamein as well as Melbourne City hosting Spring Hills. So some long crosstown journeys for a few NPLW squads this afternoon. Not too far to get from Bulleen to Parkville though, so won't be able to attribute too much of the blame should the result not go their way to that this afternoon, Bulleen. And of course, rounding out the second weekend of action tomorrow with Essendon Royals hosting Boroondara before Melbourne Victory host Heidelberg at 3 p.m. in what promises to be a very watchable affair. For now, though, Bulleen continue to poke and prod as they look for a way past this Avondale defence. That ball for Renahan, met by Barrero. Renahan and Garon, we've seen both the Bulleen fullbacks pushing a long way up the field. Clearly part of the game plan for Bulleen to have their fullbacks contributing to the attack. We've seen a couple of times it's left them light at the back, but just the 1 goal conceded so far. Well recovered there by Sarah Kane. Now looks to send it through to Jordan. And once more, caught just a little bit ahead of the defence. May well be the only player to have been caught offside in this game thus far, Ashley Jordan, and that's the 3rd or 4th time. Here's Young. Has a little bit of space on the right. Goes with the cross towards Wilkinson. Well met and sent away by Miocic. Now Kellen Knight. Young makes some space on the left. Sloan Young. A brilliant finish along the deck. And sneaking in at the near post. It's 2 goals for Sloan Young, 2 goals for Avondale. And the Avengers are well on their way to their first NPLW victory. Well, against the run of play, you have to say, Boline have been making all of the running in this second half. But Avondale go down the other end. Sloan Young had a couple of cracks at it. And that finish skidding past Alyssa Daloste. Boline need a quick response, and Kat Renahan's looking to provide it up towards Markovski. Attack continues through Jordan. And a combination of Traynor and Young sending the ball clear. Well, Sloan Young, another of the new recruits from college soccer in the US. She's doing most of her work in Florida. Well, what a way to begin your career in NPL Victoria. 2 goals. And at the moment, the only 2 goals of the match. Boline with a mountain ahead of them. They are to take something from this game. The good news is there's still ample time to do so. Here's Eliadis. Got the shot, but the ball didn't get far as Bella Ricardo was there to close things down. Sloan Young, plenty of confidence, and understandably so. Just got the ball stuck a little bit underneath her there. This is Jordan. Markovski in support if she wants it. Ashley Jordan goes with the right boot. Markovski arriving just in front of the striker. Boline edging closer to that goal. A little bit of confusion as to which ball would be used for the restart. Brooke Bennett maybe using some of her game sense to have been trudging over towards the former ball, which was past the corner flag, as the new ball was being delivered up towards her. Bennett's clearance doesn't get too far as Bomford picks up the ball. Now Roger into Markovski. Makes some space on the right. Maya Markovski flashes over the crossbar. Boline are far from out of this. They're 2 goals behind, but they are looking more threatening than they have at any other time in the match at the moment. Well, there's a triple change incoming for Boline. Kat Renahan, Liv Bomford, and Rosie Roger all withdrawn. And in their stead come the triple substitution of Nia Saleh, Maddie Rakic, and Alana Cordolino. So Rakic more or less in a straight swap for Renahan. Saleh and Cordolino attacking players. That ball from Eliadis too far ahead of Markovski. Seemingly Cordolino and Nia Saleh will occupy the wing positions, with Ashley Jordan dropping back where Liv Bomford was before. So one more, something resembling a direct swap with Rosie Roger coming off. In any case, it's an injection of fresh legs for Boline as they hunt for a way back into this game. This is Matty Rakic. Majakovski a long way back, looking to help with the build-up. Wonderful, of course, to have Alana Cordolino in the NPL season from the start, this campaign. Really made a name for herself with Boline and earning an A-League call-up as a result with Western United. Having also been part of the FV Academy program, as so many in the Victorian football ranks have. FV emerging, it would have probably been at the time when Cordolino was playing. And here is the winger, looking to skip past Camberero, does so effectively. Cordolino in space down the right, goes with the cross. Janet Saris, that was brilliant. And even though it ended up deflecting off some Bulleen legs, Brooke Bennett was able to dive on the ball. Golgan Janet Saris, not for the first time this afternoon, a vital contribution. Now Wilkinson looking to be sent through. A little bit of panic as Daloste and Maldiri not on the same page. Here is Cordolino again. This time goes the pass towards Markovsky. Miata. Young, the scorer of both goals, looking to repeat the trick onto her left, Sloan Young. Well, it looked very similar to the second goal that she scored. That time, though, Alyssa Daloste, well, she'd been warned already of the threat that the American winger poses and gobbled up that chance with great efficacy. Kellen Knight. Goad. Gets around Rakic, Beatty Goad. Daloste was covering the near post. Beatty Goad maybe trying to squeeze it through an impossible angle. Now Jordan up towards Markovsky, but it beats her teammate and instead picks out the former Boline player in Isabella Ricardo. Cordolino beats Ferrero again. This time Janet Saris less well positioned, but just as effective as she gets the final touch to come off Maya Markovsky and will allow Brooke Bennett to take a goal kick. So over an hour played now out of Avondale Park. It's been an engrossing contest, really. But it's only Avondale who have had the finishing touch up to this point. And as a result, the 2-0 lead. Boline, though, will continue to hunt for a way back into this game. Is near Saleh. To skip around Traynor, did end up firing towards goal, but too close to Brooke Bennett. Goad. Just stepping out of play. And the protestations from, I believe it was Del Donnelly, resulting in a yellow card from Angelique Manjon. Del Donnelly continuing his remonstrations with the fourth official. Very much disagreeing with that call that Beatty Goad was unable to keep it in play. Here's Matty Rakic. Cross sent in. Headed away by Traynor. Now near Saleh. It's a quick shot from Garon. Well blocked by Young. That one, I think she'll be grateful that it's a warmer afternoon and not one of the cooler evenings that we're expecting later in the season. Cordellino's cross just in front of Tiff Eliadis. And Traynor sends it out. Well, Alana Cordellino has reinvigorated this Bulleen attack. She is just a nightmare to defend. Tiff Eliadis remaining a long way advanced in the penalty area, but wasn't able to beat out Janet Saris in an aerial contest. Now Young has Wilkinson ahead of her. Muldeary read it well. Ball for Wilkinson. The Kiwi striker remained onside. Has Kellen Knight arriving on the edge of the area. Kellen Knight struck it first time. Just got a little bit too much underneath the ball though. Play quickly restarted in the direction of near Saleh. And with that, we will have the drinks break for the second half. Players getting a chance to regroup. Avondale remain 2 goals to the good. 2 Sloan Young strikes, putting the Avengers in pole position as we head into the final quarter of this game. Can understand both sets of players, both the fact that it's early in the season and the heat of the day. It's not an especially hot afternoon, but bathed in sunshine as the pitch is, things can of course get rather difficult over the course of a 90 minutes. So as we tick past 70 minutes in this one. Boline Lions running out of time if they are to drag themselves back into the contest. Grab themselves a point perhaps. A lot will need to go right though in this final phase of the game if that is to be the case. A little bit of concern for Bulleen that they are nearing the end of the second game, still without having troubled the score sheet. Were yet again the highest scorers in NPLW Victoria last season. 57 goals scored in their 22 games, more than anyone else. A record they've made a habit of maintaining over the past few seasons. Goad for Avondale. Up towards Wilkinson. Anna Wilkinson goes the patient approach alongside Goad. Miata and Allen get the ball out to Young. Now Sloan Young taking on Garon. Gets the shot in. Oh, it's off the crossbar. Sloan Young agonizingly close to a hat-trick. But with that chance narrowly missed, Boline remain ever so slightly alive in this one. 2 goals needed. Sloan Young, really the beneficiary of much of the work her teammates have done with the build-up. So with that second goal, found herself in a little bit of space, and there again, a really smooth finish. But unfortunately for her, deflecting out off the frame of the goal. Here is Wilkinson, who's had that one really good chance early in the game. Maybe a few more loose passes than we're used to seeing from the New Zealand international. But you can imagine that as she gets more games under her belt, she will only get better. Beatty Goad winning back possession. Here is Wilkinson in a little bit of space. Tees up Young for the hat-trick. Sloan Young surely seals the points for Avondale. 3 goals for Sloan Young on what's turning into a memorable afternoon for both her and her team. The first NPLW fixture at Avenger Park is surely going the way of Avondale, and Sloan Young, the headline act, a hat-trick to boot. Well, just minutes after she struck the crossbar, looked as if maybe she would be cruelly denied a hat-trick on her home debut. But in the end, her persistence paid off. Chance here for Cordolino. Izzy Ocado, though, racing into position to support her fellow defenders. What a day for Avondale this is looking like turning into, as we head into the final 15 minutes of the 90. A Sloan Young hat-trick, having the Avengers well on course for their first points, their first 3 points in NPLW football. And with that, the Avengers will take their chance to make a first change of the afternoon. Askamiata is the player to be withdrawn. And it'll be Alyssa Smith to take her place. Player brought in from Brunswick Juventus, having prior to that been a Calder United player. Smith, one of the players who started last week but not today. May well prove tough to crack back into this Avondale team if they continue with performances like we've seen here, but has 15 minutes or so to impress Del Donnelly. Golkan Janitsaris there on the receiving end of a pretty rough encounter, and she's worse for wear as a result. They will pause to go check in on one of the most important contributors for Avondale this afternoon, Golkan Janitsaris. She has been superb, not just with her leadership and marshalling of her fellow defenders, but with her own individual performance too. And hopefully this is nothing more than a little bit of soreness from the coming together. See how quick her teammates are to crowd around her and check on her well-being. No doubt a very popular and well-respected figure in the Avondale dressing room. Well, as Janitsaris receives that treatment, it provides one more opportunity for the Bulleen players to regroup. Maybe one final surge to be made as they at least look to break their goal duck that they are still staring down as we approach the end of the second match day of the season. Looking ahead to next week, it'll be a return home for Boline, back to the Ven as they'll host Keilor Park, Saturday afternoon football. Golkan Janitsaris is up on her feet and jogging towards the sideline, so it looks as if she'll be good to continue, which is fantastic news for Avondale. So there'll be warm favourites taking on Keilor Park next weekend, Bulleen, as they look for their first points of the campaign, assuming that there isn't to be a dramatic late turnaround here at Avenger Park this afternoon. There is still time. Crazier things have happened. Meanwhile, Avondale next weekend, they'll head up towards Bundoora, the home of the Matildas, to take on Melbourne Victory. Here's Nia Saleh. Skipping around Traynor. Nia Saleh went with the right boot. Now Markovski had about 3 players between her and the goal, but does enough to win her team a corner. So if the Boline comeback is to start, it has to be about now. Ball in, maybe a little bit of a fist from Brooke Bennett, who's shaking out her right hand after that. Now Saleh. Wrestled off the ball by Sloan Young. That match ball that she will be taking home at the end of today, having secured the hat-trick. Kellen Knight winning back the ball and now using the substitute Smith. This is Goad. Putting it in front of Wilkinson. Return ball for Goad. Wilkinson heads towards the box. Here is Sloan Young. Has already scored herself a hat-trick. Goes to the deck. Angelique Manjon waves away the appeals. And well, based on how quickly any claims died down, it seems like that was very much the correct decision. Jordan looking crossfield for Cordolino. Not the pinpoint pass she was after. Seeing Mircic send the ball forward. Have to give some credit to the centre-back pairing of Claudia Mircic and Leah Muldeary, as we've seen throughout the match. Marshalling a much more physically imposing opponent in Hannah Wilkinson to reasonable effect. Struggled more with keeping Sloan Young and Beattie Goad quiet, though, has the Bulleen defence, which looks to have adapted into a back three. And with that pause in play, we'll see the introduction of Asia Claridge, who will take the place of Cam Barrero for the final 10 minutes or so of action. Cam Barrero wisely looking to soak up every second she can as she receives the substitutes bib. And it's the former South Melbourne player Asia Claridge who will see out the remainder of this one. Markovski with a snapshot. But as has been the case too often from a Bulleen perspective, it's either off target or right down the throat of Brooke Bennett. Couple of fairly spectacular saves in the first half that Bennett had to make, but other than that, she will feel it's been a reasonably comfortable afternoon given how much of the play Bulleen have had. Here is the substitute, Claridge. Retreats to Accardo, who got there right at the same time as Tiff Eliadis. A really solid footballing challenge that. Both players quickly back to their feet. See some of the intensity still on the face of Izzy Accardo. She is intent on getting through the full 90 with a clean sheet still there. Now Markovski we've seen dropping deeper and deeper as this game has progressed. Struggled to have her influence in the final third. We can't accuse her of a lack of effort, Maya Markovski, but once again the ball just getting out of reach. So that game against another newly promoted team for Boline and Keilor Park should be a more manageable proposition than this star-studded Avondale outfit. As for Avondale, that really tantalising prospect of a game against Melbourne Victory. And so Sloan Young will receive a send-off for her hat-trick performance. substituted with around 5 minutes of the 90 remaining. And Liviana Andriopoulos takes her place. Another former Boline player getting her crack at this level with Avondale. And a well-deserved early mark for Young. What a performance it's been. And now a chance maybe for Avondale to grab another goal. Here's the substitute, Andriopoulos. Has support from Smith. Just mistiming the ball. The two substitutes combining, but unable to really test Alyssa Daloste that time. Andriopoulos, another of the youngsters in this Avondale lineup, just 19 years of age. So much quality and experience from which to learn if you are one of the teenagers in this Avondale squad. Here's Alyssa Smith on the turn. She was well met by Maldiri. Now Cordolino. Looking to get past Claridge. Still Alana Cordolino goes with the cross. Met by Janet Saris. Almost falling into the path of Ashley Jordan, but Georgia Traynor still throwing her body on the line. Here's Andriopoulos. Wilkinson ahead of her. Now you see Kellen Knight in space on the left-hand side, which is where the ball promptly heads. Avondale, you can see, being a little bit more conservative with their time in possession. No need to take any risks in giving away the ball. They do eventually do so. And that presents the opportunity for Boline to spring forward once more. Ricardo with the header, delaying the attack, but now Cordolino in some space on the right. Really well read by Izzy Ricardo. And Claridge sending it away and behind for a corner. Into the final couple of minutes now. Near Saleh to deliver. Would just be a consolation for Boline, but something to build on going into next week. Saleh's delivery is a little bit flat. Just about the entire other half of the field vacant at the moment, so if Avondale are able to regain possession, there's a paddock into which they can run. Of course, though, players no doubt tiring and not too keen to charge forward one more time, and indeed Asia Claridge sending that one into touch. Markovsky cross into the middle. Saleh was there. Georgia Traynor has been superb this afternoon. And now combines with Andriopoulos. Sydney Allen was in a little bit of space in the middle, looked further forward to Wilkinson before Allen did tee up Kellen Knight. And still Beatty Goad continues to run. She's been doing it all afternoon, and she's got 3 targets in the middle if she wants them. The cross, though, skidding into the hands of Alyssa Daloste. The kind of cross that comes from being just a little bit less balanced, less over the ball. Understandable this late into the game for a player like Beatty Goad, who's been relentless in her running up and down the wing. Kane hoping that Saleh can latch onto that one. You wonder if Boline's chance to score a goal may have passed. As As we head in to second half stoppage time, there will be 4 minutes of it. So 4 more minutes for Boline to give themselves something to take back to the Veneto club. 4 more minutes for Avondale to see out this game with their clean sheet intact. Their first in NPLW Victoria, to complement their first set of 3 points. Here's Andriopoulos. Uses Smith, who returns the favour. Aendale saw it just about before anyone else, though. Eliadis getting there ahead of Janitsaris. Cordolino and Markovsky in the box. Eliadis decides to go herself and rattles the crossbar in the process. Well, that would have been a superb goal from Tiff Eliadis. Not for the first time. The frame of the goal denying one of the players on the park this afternoon. Had 3 goals, but certainly could have been more. Sydney Allen now for the Avengers. And that a fairly tired pass forward. Here's Eliadis again. You saw the idea with Markovsky. So it will be 2 consecutive defeats to begin 2026 for Bulleen. Hannah Wilkinson looking to compile the misery. Finds its way through to Beatty Goad. Wonderful save. Alyssa Daloste palming it clear. For Avondale, that defeat on the opening, or in the opening round rather, against Alamein. A bit of an unexpected setback, but it has not taken them long to get back on the horse. And they will charge up the NPLW table, no doubt, for a game against that Melbourne Victory team next week at the home of the Matildas. Before then, Melbourne Victory will have to see off Heidelberg tomorrow. So we'll wait and see what kind of shape Victory are in as they head into that contest. Corner sent in a long way as well. Tiff Eliadis, really an essential contribution to prevent that one ending up in the back of the net, but the end result is another corner for the hosts. And as we head into the final minute of second half stoppage time, Sydney Allen floats one in. Georgia Traynor and Maya Markovsky charging into each other. A little bit of an intake of breath as those two players came together, but it ended with no damage done. Bella Ricardo, who's been superb in the second 45, as has the entire Avondale background. And it's looking as if they'll be able to see out the remainder of this game with the 3-0 scoreline as it stands. And Angelique Manjon blows her whistle. Avondale have their first win in NPLW Victoria. A Sloan Young hat-trick making the difference as they run riot against the dominant Bulleen team of the past few seasons. Sending out a message to the rest of the competition, no doubt, that Avondale, as we all expected, will be challenging throughout 2026. And as for Bulleen, a second consecutive defeat to begin 2026. Not what many would have expected, considering just how much quality they have in their squad at the beginning of the campaign. But we know that they are more than capable of rebounding and building up towards the second half of the season. And you'd very much expect that will end up being the case. Still plenty of football to be played in 2026, but that's all the time we have today here at Avenger Park. Sloan Young, the name on everyone's lips, as Avondale romp to a 3-0 victory off the back of her hat-trick. The full-time score, Avondale 3, Boline Lions 0.